Hello, everyone. Today is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. Your update for Thursday, the 20th. All right, let's go. Well, as far as new setups, no setups tonight. A couple have caught my eye here and there, but then I found myself kind of talking myself out of them. And I know it's kind of a crazy thing to say, but it's like there's a feel to the market that seems to have changed. And obviously, if you go back a few weeks, it certainly felt a lot better than it does now. Also, in some of these, like as you go start looking at them, like, oh, that looks pretty good, and then you see like a mountain of overhead supply to deal with. So no setups going into tomorrow. Again, we're waiting on the database to give us some setups. Now we are seeing some shorts in here, especially in these crypto-related areas, but I think that's far too dangerous to go after at this juncture. But you know me, I like to show you what I'm seeing as I'm seeing them on the short side. Anyway, there's a few of these in here if you felt like you really, really had to do something. But boy, that could be a very crazy trade. Bitcoin gets a big pop or something, and who knows what could happen. It's just not, I don't think it's worth it at this juncture. I prefer, on the short side, I prefer shorting like a retail or something big and stodgy and selected technology, provided it's a really big cap. But for now, I don't see anything to go reason to go after them. Take a look at the portfolio. TFPM, not a bad day there. These golds are working their way back to their old high, so that's certainly a good thing. I sure like to see them get there and not look back for a while. KGC off its best levels, but still up a little in a day. We'll take it. Let's take a look at the overall market and drill down a little bit. First of all, S&P 500. Those both time moving averages are coming together. One thing I mentioned in the group a little while ago is watch the angle of inflection of these bow ties into that 50 simple. And sometimes that can be quite telling. If you have a sharp angle into them, like we have now, for instance, that is of concern. We could bow tie, easy for me to say, to the downside fairly soon in the P's, and ditto for the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is not too far away. Notice these indices are below the 50 simple moving average. That's something I don't use a lot, the 50 simple, but when the market gets iffy, I like to put it in just to see where we are, and obviously the 200, but let's not worry about that just yet. Russell 2000, you can see fairly sharp angle of the moving averages through the 50 simple, and also still looking toppy, kind of Flatsville today, but looking questionable at best. And now we have some overhead supply to deal with. Now these indices, just getting back like to the P's, longer term, they still look okay. We're still within the 5% zone of the all-time highs in this particular case, but 50-week closing highs, which is also all-time highs. So, again, it still looks pretty good. Not the end of the world just yet, but the tide is definitely beginning to turn, and we need to pay attention to what's happening, obviously. AI, you can see getting ready to bow tie through that 50, so that's a little bit of concern. Certainly, a few big updates would certainly fix some of these problems, but obviously that has to happen. Robotics and AI has already bow tied to the downside. Again, sharp angle through that 50 simple moving average, something I pay attention to. ETH share still looking questionable at best. Bitcoin just continues to implode. This is looking pretty ugly for now, at least. Gold stocks, okay day there, off their best levels. They're beginning to kind of look like KGC, the TFPM that we're in. Gold, the commodity, continue to watch this recent pullback low, 360 basis of GLD. If we take that out, then the market could be in trouble. Broker dealer bouncing a little bit, trying to get back into its range, but it's range bound at best. On the upside, biotechnology, a little bit of a drift lately, but longer term still remains in a decent uptrend. So far, so good there. Back to the downside, software right here at multi-month lows. That's looking pretty ugly. Look at the bow tie here. In fact, the trigger would have been on this day here, so that's kind of ugly on that one. Certain areas of health services and healthcare still doing pretty good, like major drugs themselves and biotech too, obviously, kind of hanging in there. So we could see some setups in those areas fairly soon, though. Technology in general, though, kind of looking ugly. Cloud computing, you can see bow tie through that 50 simple. You beginning to get the idea, right? Take a look at the semiconductors. They could both tie down fairly soon. Now, they are getting a little bit of a pop in after hours. NVIDIA did release earnings, and you can see it's bidding way up here. So that's a glimmer of good news. Will it stick? Who knows? I mean, these earning things are kind of crazy. Back to the downside, communications. You can see telecom not looking so hot. financials overall still look like a major top remains in place there. And finally, metals and mining, they've pulled back deeply, obviously. And so far, this pullback has held, but any additional weakness would be of concern. But you can see they are beginning to break down and bow tie to the downside in the process of that happening there, too. So it's kind of looking ugly out there for now. Let's just let things shake out. The demand seems to have dried up quite a bit. It seems like the rallies have met with a little bit of selling, but you know the routine. Here it comes. Take things one day at a time. But now's the time not to make any big decisions. As I think Jim earlier pointed out in the Facebook group, cash is an asset class, so it's okay to raise a little cash when the situation gets a little iffy like this. Better be on the dock drinking beer than out to sea wishing you. Wait, how's that go? Better to be on the dock drinking beer wishing you were out to sea than out to sea wishing you were on the dock drinking beer. And the other thing I want to, in all seriousness, when you do raise cash at times like this, you have more money to deploy later when times are better. So the point I'm trying to get to is that patience is key. Anyway, I think that's enough pontification for tonight. Everybody have a fantastic night. We'll talk tomorrow. Thank you so much.